Hey YouTube. So I figured I'd kind of do a step-by-step on my next mod for the Chevy SS. Like I was telling you guys in my last video, that is going to be a VCM intake, which is right here. I just unboxed it. I also did get the panels that kind of go around the intake for like the windshield wash, the coolant bottle and stuff like that. And then I believe this panel here is for when you take out the stock intake. I think this is just kind of like an infill panel that's gonna go like right in there somewhere. So the first step here, and I think it's gonna be very similar to how the G8 intake comes out because it looks almost identical to what my G8 GXP looked like. So the first step here is gonna be to get the stock air box pulled out, and then we'll go from there. Okay YouTube, I got the stock intake box off. I got the stupid little kazoo tube thing off. I still have to get a plug in for that hole back there. But the stock air box is off. Next step is going to be tilting the radiator back so we can get the intake to fit in there. Okay guys, I got the VCM intake in here. I wanted to be a little bit more thorough with the install on this, but right after I had gotten the stock air box out, I had a few friends show up here and it just kind of made it tough for me to shoot videos as I was putting the new intake in. But I'm going to do my best here to kind of describe to you guys what you do after you get the stock air box out. So for the first step, I mean, it's really pretty straightforward. The toughest thing I'll tell you with this whole install that I had was the directions you get are extremely vague. I kind of had to just piece things in and figure out where these brackets went. And I'll show you the few brackets that help support the radiator after you remove it. And actually, before I do that, I want to tell you guys how exactly I tilted the radiator back. So this is essentially what holds the radiator on top here. This part right here is bolted onto the car, and then this part right here sits on top of the radiator. And what you want to do is there's going to be a screw right there that you want to remove, and that will allow you then to just pop this off. And I've got this one over here disconnected so you can see. Once you get that bolt out right there, then there's just two little tabs there, and then that'll allow you to tilt the radiator back. Once you get it tilted back, then you're going to want to remove this piece right here also. Just one little bolt that went right here, and that was removed, so you want to remove both of those. So after that, once you get the radiator tilted back, then they give you pretty much like two brackets that help support the radiator once the intake is in front of it. So for the first one, you can see here, it's just like a little arm thing that kind of grabs onto the radiator cap there. And it actually does a really nice job. I just had a bolt then that runs right, I think it's right here. It actually might be under the cowl here. You also want to remove this cowl piece here. So that has to be removed also, and then you'd be able to see where this bolt is, but it's essentially, I think, like right here. I'm actually really happy how well these brackets hold the radiator. On my VCM intake, they never gave you anything to support the radiator, so once the intake was in, when you'd grab it, you know, it would move, and it was, you know, maybe not the best, but I'm happy that VCM does supply you with these brackets here. Here's the other one then that they give you. You know, you can see it's just kind of like a arm type deal that just kind of grabs the radiator there, and same thing as the other side, guys. It just underneath the cowl here, I think there's a bolt right here where it's bolted onto the car then. But this side as well, you know, it's nice and tight. I'm very happy with how the radiator is supported with this intake. So those are the two brackets that you have to put on. Then there's also two more that you had to put on. And for these ones, they're essentially for the radiator covers that go here and here. And what you want to do, it's real simple, is you want to pop out these two bolts right here, and then you're able just to kind of lift this cover piece up here just enough where you can slide this bracket underneath the bolts there, and the bolts just run right through it. And then there's that bracket right there. And same thing for the other side. Just remove the two bolts, lift this little piece up a little bit, slide your bracket in, and it gives you that one there. They also give you this infill panel here. Once you remove the stock air box, you got a pretty big hole right there. So pretty straightforward. I just used one of the nuts here that came off the stock air box, and then this other guy right here holds it in. And the directions they do, one of the things they do tell you is that you have to trim this piece. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to show you guys. Let's see here where I had to trim. It's essentially just kind of like right in there where I had to trim. Pretty straightforward. You'll see in the little picture that they give you where you got to cut it, and then that just kind of slides right in there. So that was pretty nice. Oh yeah, and like I was telling you guys earlier, if you got a 14, 15 SS, you don't have to worry about this, but if you've got a 16 or 17 with the kazoo tube thinger, got that right from, I think I just went to Menards, just got like a little plug there that filled in, and I just put the two bolts back in their holes there. So that's kind of what I did to cover up that little hole there. And yeah, that's essentially it, guys. Obviously, you reuse the mass airflow. It's pretty straightforward. Just put that on. They give you a little, there's like a little rubber grommet piece here that the mass airflow connects into there. You just tighten it down with their clamps. Same thing here. There's a little rubber piece. You put that on the throttle body. The other one on the mass airflow. Tighten it down. They do give you a new one of these things here that kind of runs right to where the stock one did right there. So that's really essentially it, guys. It was, like I said, it's a relatively easy install. It was fun to install, and I'm really excited to see how well it performs. Obviously, I don't have a tune or anything yet. The tune will probably come once I go with long tubes. Hopefully, I'm thinking maybe next spring or something like that, I might do some long tubes. Just still not quite ready to totally throw in the towel on the powertrain quite yet. But it's coming. Eventually it's gonna get headers here. So that's that, guys. I will show you what the infill panels look like, and that will wrap up the install on this VCM intake. Okay, YouTube, I got the two infill panels on here for you guys to see. I think it really cleans up the engine bay here. Like I was showing you guys, that bracket that you put underneath these two bolts here, that holds down this side right here, secures it. Then you got one push pin that holds that down along with the front of the intake, which is kind of nice. I like how it also kind of holds the front of the intake down. Same thing on the other side here. You got one push pin and then one push pin right there. So that's going to probably wrap up this video, guys, on the VCM install. If you guys got any questions, feel free to comment. If you guys need any clarifications, if anyone's doing this mod, I'd be happy to help you guys out with anything that might come up on your install. Like always, stay tuned. I'm going to hopefully get some more videos in the coming days and weeks here, and we'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for watching.